Okay, hello everyone, my name is Random Gamer Riven and I'm here for tonight's video game stream on behalf of Randomized Gaming, and I am going to be your host. I mentioned Random Gamer Riven. Just going to adjust the sound there, as I think that's probably a touch too loud. So yeah, PC games do variate wildly on the stream, so it's just a case of getting to know which is what and what is what with the streams. So just typing a quick message. So this is the Panzer Dragoon remake, which I've not played that much, so I will reserve judgment for it. Okay, right, let's get back to the... Now, just into sound settings. Mute music, no. I think that'll be okay. So I'm actually going to turn off original sound, because I want to hear what the new soundtrack is. Because if they've got the original soundtrack on by default, I think something's horribly wrong with this remix soundtrack. So I want to find out how bad it is. Or maybe not, maybe it's quite good, but we'll find out soon enough. Just turn that down a bit more. Turn it up 5. So hopefully you can all hear me. If there's any issues with the audio, please do let me know. I've got my headset on, so I'm just having to go via the open source studio. My god, that's bad! Oh my word, that sounds like a MIDI! No wonder that's not the default soundtrack. Well, that tells you everything you need to know possibly about this version then. Oh man, that's terrible. Give it to a cheap studio that doesn't know what the hell they're doing. It's got synthetic music. Sounds like almost like it's a Mega Drive version. Okay, so I'm going to be using classic. Just confirm what the mapping is. I think I'm going to be using the mouse. You can't, so WS to zoom in. Q. Okay, let's rock and roll. Apologies for the slight, but just to make sure I know my game, I'm on point. Start from the beginning. And I will let the intro roll out. Okay, so that was the remade opening intro. Well, bloom was off, animation was incorrect in a few places. I mean, there's quite a few problems. That intro seemed like the equivalent of, you know, that painting. I can't remember what painting it was. There was a painting in the UK that was, well, one of the, was it France or somewhere, some classic painting, and it got restored by some old lady who ended up just making a mockery of it. Well, that intro pretty much was the equivalent of that remade one. It's got the bloom wrong, the art direction's wrong, the pacing, some of the stylization's wrong, so that's not a good start. And conversions like this, cheap convert ports like this, really annoy me because they do take the soul of what is for games that are effectively Picassos or Rembrandts or Van Goghs or any other sort of, or it's like taking a music song and the Beatles and then trying to update it with your own take on it without so you're taking something that's iconically very important to the video games industry and then you are butchering it, for want of a better word. That's what that opening intro was. Now again, we've got new flight patterns here. This setting's completely changed. It's meant to originally look more like Atlantis. Instead we have a weird sort of mountainside city, whereas originally it's meant to be like you're over just almost like a water plane, and in this water is meant to be the remnants of a city, whereas here we're more like on a mountainside. Again, it's clear the developers have completely missed the point of the original game in the art setting direction. And you'll notice I turned off the original music because I wanted to hear what the remake music was like. And it's not very good, the remake music. Again, it appears to have been, I mean, it sounds almost like Mega Drive music in bits of it because they're using synthesis, not orchestration, unlike the original tracks. So on the plus side, I would say it's playing nice and smoothly on Google Stadia, so no qualms there. That's very responsive. But yeah, you have this weird stutter with the cursor. So while Stadia is very responsive, the actual game itself, not so much. You've got a weird... You almost have like a... I think the cursor might have been originally but it's just jagged. And it misses the ethos of this building as well, which you're meant to be like a watery... So it's like a complete watery city except for like this one ruined building. So you don't even get like the ruins. This is sort of a mountainside thing, like it's in a beach or just an offshore area. And I can tell you now, as we've done a long play of the original game, if I used to go back to that long play, that will just by default look better than this, because I mean, what was Sega thinking giving it to this developer? It really is. Stutter on the mouse is terrible. I mean, it feels slower than the original cast does on the Dreamcast. I'm using a metal USB laser mouse, so again, it's... Ooh. I mean, remakes like this are a case in point where you actually almost want protection on certain IPs to avoid stuff like this happening. I mean, this is not... My initial impressions are this is worse than the original game, so that's deeply concerning. can't actually. You could rapid fire in the original Saturn version by double clicking the buttons. You don't appear to be able to do that in this one. Oh wow, pressing the middle click centers the. Why would you want to center that unless you acknowledge that? Yeah, I mean I can't. This is moving it to left to right. Let's just try and move it just left to right. That is how slow the cursor is moving to left to right. Not fast, not responsive. It's just a weird. I'm on a USB laser mouse. Clearly there's a reason they included the original soundtrack. Yeah, this remade soundtrack appears to be synthesized. Well, yes, next episode. Now, some of these cutscenes look like they've largely been literally ripped straight from the original game, which in some ways, not too bad. I don't mind them doing that if they do them well. That one was alright, the earlier one was not good. It had a number of issues with lighting. Now again, they've clearly changed the art direction of bits of this stage, and I don't think they've quite understood what the original stage was about. If you don't understand something, don't remake it. It's my key thing to any developer. You need to understand a game. If you don't understand the game, do not remake it. Streets of Rage 4 is another example of that, where the developers didn't understand the combat and put in a weird super armor on a lot of the hits, which again is not what was in the original game. In the series it doesn't quite work, but they've actually admitted features in Streets of Rage 4 that were in other games. So let's see. I mean, the enemy patterns are definitely different in this one. So in this one we actually originally had a cave, and here it's been changed to like dead trees in a forest. Yeah, well, I can't fault Stadia, at least the performance is very smooth at present. Just the game itself. Yeah, you can basically super rat-a-tat to in the original game. Okay, I think this bit seems to use roughly the original enemy layout, but the original one is meant to be like a stone cave in the desert to give you a feeling of coolness when you're here. And here they turned it into sort of a dead forest, so it's totally different. And this conflicts with the aesthetic of the stage, really, because you're a desert, so you will have caves in a desert, not lots of dead trees. Okay, not sure what happened there. Just... Prototype Dragon. I seem to recall this being called the Black Dragon in the original Sega Saturn 1. Well, I got 4 credits already, so again, I don't think there's much additional content for this remake. You'd expect a lot of extra content, and it's just that those first 2 stages just feel like they've lost the art direction of the original game, and that's a really just worrying sign. And I'm going to be honest, it's disappointing when I see reviewers say, oh, this was quite a good game. I mean, I saw quite a few positive reviews of this, but you need to look at the original game and ask, you know, have they got the spirit? If you're basically effectively trying to forge the work of great masters in the industry, then you need to make sure your work is up to standard. This is not. It's like I mentioned a bit earlier, it's like taking a Rembrandt, Picasso and copying it. And if you're going to do that, you need to be able to understand the styles of the artist. And it's clear this studio hasn't. Okay, this is supposed to be like an oblique canyon at night time in the original game. It's supposed to all be dark on the ground, so the canyon goes dark. Here we've got a much lighter canyon. So this, I believe, is an Imperial base you're basically destroying in this stage. And the one thing I will say, as I keep mentioning, the Stadia performance is very good. I'm not having issues, it's playing very well. Stadia is very quick to use. I've actually only been really using Stadia this week, but it does play well, at least, I will say that. Guns should actually damage me quite badly from missing them. So the normal, maybe it's based on the Japanese normal. Probably should have played through on hard. This is really easy. have been nice if they had in the super moves as well, but I don't believe they have. And you think if you're going to do a remake, at least add in some of the bonus features of Orta, Panzer Dragoon Wheel. Almost every shot seems destroyable, which is again something not always the case in the original version. Some shots are not destroyable, so that means you're guaranteed to take damage from them if you don't intercept the enemies quick enough or evade well. Again, this, like I mentioned, the canyon's all dark, so it should be like a dark surface. This, again, they get the canyon, they're getting the canyon and the environment lighting wrong on it. It's supposed to be like a raid at night. This looks like a desert. This looks more like a desert rather than a nighttime sort of canyon road. It's more like a continuation of the desert. Again, that mouse cursor, look how slow it is to move. Okay, this boss battle's been changed a little bit. You better just be able to pummel this thing. I'm just trying to work it where I'm going. It's also like an old rusted copper, so it's a greeny colour, the original one. That cursor is so slow. And the shots should be, even on normal, they're fast. Okay, well there's some nice dying animation there right at the end. That's a positive, I suppose. Again, the lighting's on that rock is just the... Sunset Boulevard, it's not supposed to be a sunset, that mission, it's supposed to be at night. Admittedly, on the plus side, it's 3 with Google Stadia Pro at the minute, so if you want to play this, now's the time to subscribe to Stadia to play it. At least it was in July. I think it still is. Okay, so this is probably the first actually hard stage in the game. There are a lot of sections in this bit where you just take guaranteed hits, so this starting section is more a case of damage reduction rather than stopping the damage completely. So it's a case of playing through and making sure to avoid damage rather than take it, or just reduce the amount you're taking. Some games do that in certain sections. You're going to take damage. It's just making sure you take a lot less than what you can do. Getting those guys before they get off the ground. Getting those guys before they shoot you. I was a bit slow there. Could I just quickly one of them? Blow these things up before they can do anything. If I finish this in the stream, I will do a full playthrough of the Remake without me commentating over it. Or should I say, angry ranting. Panzer Dragoon is a game very close to my heart, so I just don't want to see big franchises like this treated so poorly. I mean, the Panzer Dragoon series has always been treated poorly by Sega. Sega made the mistake of destroying most of the source code during the Saturn era. I think even a lot of the Dreamcast games have had their source code destroyed as well, so you're going to have to reconstruct them either by basically taking the game apart on disc or using it. I mean, you can effectively add in content and stuff, and you can usually recover a formed source code, but deconstructing games to get a modern version of source code is a very time-consuming process if you don't have the original compilers or source code. Of course, if you already have the original source code, you can literally update it and then rerun it on a modern format very, very quickly. There's actually, was it Modern Vintage Gamer? I've seen him actually port games because he's got the source code to like classic formats really quickly. So there's a video he did Eternal Darkness and ported it to the Xbox. Not Eternal Darkness, Heart of Darkness, and that was a really, really impressive thing to be able to port that, and just being as a coder, that's some serious skills there to be able to take a game with the original source. Okay, so we've again changed the aesthetic of this boss. It's now got a weird red glow on it. Guardian. So that's one change to the remake. They've given it a nice intro. This weird red glow doesn't quite suit it. And it's disappointing when you see reviewers review games like this and say, oh, it's Panzer Dragoon, and actually no, this is not up to the standard of the original game. The pacing's wrong, the difficulty is definitely a touch too easy. Even the original Panzer Dragoon, even the Japanese version, this stage is... I died on this stage a few times. So we're losing the red glow a bit. Yeah, the movement of the dragon seems to be a lot slower. I suspect that might be why the balance to the rebalancing of some elements. They're shooting it rather than what they want me to do, shoot it this time around? It seems to be doing much more damage. There goes the first arm. Okay, there it goes. Again, the lighting's not quite right. The end of this stage is supposed to see the light at the end of the tunnel. I assume we will. No, we get a weird blinding bit right at the end. Okay, that's... And that forest appears to be made up of the same trees, like copy-paste art asset. Look at that. It's like the same trees copy and pasted. They've added an archway here. Originally it's meant to be over the... They're going through a forest rather than the top of it. So that's one change. Again, I think the original thing of you flying high... You've got the original one was you flying high above a forest. So I seem to be missing the harder enemies present in this section of straight right at the start. This section you definitely get hit by some tough enemies that just go in for the kill from the get-go. Maybe those. Now the next level is going to be really interesting because that's the chase sequence, which is probably one of the best highlights of the original Panzer Dragoon. And I must admit, the original Panzer Dragoon these days, I'm not sure which is necessarily better because I prefer some elements of the original game and some elements of the second game. So the original game has some really good level design. The second game has the issue where the first two levels are way too slow and it slows down the pace of the game somewhat. Okay, this is going to slightly giving me some grief. This should be a big cruiser, but... those down. So that's all of them. Yeah, this is definitely just not top quality material. They're supposed to be special ones, so they don't look any different to the normal ones. Here we go with the boss. Okay, this just looks a touch too pristine if you ask me. It's supposed to look a little bit more like it's forged out of old tech. This looks like it's forged out of like clean metal. I can't actually move the mouse cursor fast enough to stop something. Starts launching. And there it goes. There's a slightly weird crackling on some of the sound effects there. Okay, so... Right. This is probably one of the most important stages. Okay, so this one actually seems to be resembling the original art palette of the original stage. Now I might actually die here because I'm getting low on health. Okay. Not good enough. We've got 9 continues. I think we're going to be good because that's the one thing it does actually take from the original game. You don't get a refill when you complete a stage. And this stage is a very fast stage of its introduction where you need to basically again, they're the targeting. I strode some of the enemies and it didn't register them. Yeah, the movement of the dragon is definitely slowed in this compared to the original one. I don't feel like it'd be as dynamic, or how do I say, it feels like the cursor just doesn't feel as responsive as it should be. Just as always, guys, if you're enjoying the stream, please do hit that like button. It's always nice to know. Well, you may not be if you're a fan of Panzer Dragoon. Like I said, this is a slightly better version. For the stages so far, this is probably the closest. Although I'm not entirely sure I like the buildings. These were meant to be a bit more sort of ramshackled stone buildings. And it looks a bit too clean and modern. It does at least feel closer. Okay, so this is supposed to be the bit where you're racing through the alleys of what's supposed to be like a back street, sort of run down part of the city. Yeah, this maybe that's coming up, at least I hope it is. Or is this the end section? No, I think it's the end section. We kind of haven't got the rundown part of the city. So again, we've got a failure to... Yeah, that's the big thing that comes at you right at the end of the stage. Okay, so we've not got the sort of rundown. Yeah, I would like to see, thanks for the like there, viewer. Yeah, the enemy's not as big either. It's supposed to be like quite a big enemy, that one. And it just doesn't feel as big. Now, do we get both forms of the dragon in this final battle? Yeah, final hits. Now, if I was going to remake this, there were two things I would actually do. I would add in a boss at the end of this section, and I'd probably split the tower into an assault onto the tower up front, and then add in an additional, and then turn into effectively give it 7 episodes. So basically you would have, the episode 5 would have a boss at the end now, and if I was going to remake it, episode 6 would be you actually flying through into the tower itself. And then episode 7 would be the final boss from the original game. And that's how I would do it. I think I'd leave everything else largely unchanged, but... Okay, that's probably slightly better than the original intro, the fact the whole thing lights up. Although, I think it lit up a bit in the original. And here we go with the final boss. Now, does this include episode 0? I would like to think it would do, but possibly not. Super Dragon. What a name, Super Dragon. Didn't quite get the eyes right on the larger form, so obviously we're going to do the little form now, but the eyes weren't quite right. Hi Sega CD Boy 21, thanks for joining the stream. Panzer Dragoon, the original is a awesome game. I'm not so sure about this remake, I have to admit. I'm actually using the remake's music. Oh boo, there's not a boss fight. Obviously I need to do it on hard. Okay, that's disappointing. Alrighty then, that is your remake. Ugh. What's that, 56 minutes, not even a full hour. I have to replay it on hard. Yes, that is not a great rendition of Panzer Dragoon. It's not absolutely woeful, but it's not good. It's not as good as the original version. I mean, you haven't even got Mobius's art cards here right at the end, which you'd really want to see as a homage to the great artist, the man who's really responsible for creating the series, Mobius. I think it was Mobius, the French artist. Basically, he's the one they used for the original Panzer Dragoon Japanese artwork. He's the one that effectively, because of his artwork, was inspired by. So really, arguably, you could say he was perhaps the creator of Panzer Dragoon. because of his artwork they did the game, and indeed some of the dragon artwork they did, and we've not got that art. Here, I mean, he should really first. I would always argue because of his artwork, he should be the first person credited in any Panzer Dragoon game. Yeah, I believe this was a Polish studio. It just doesn't feel a quality package. It should be. I mean, a remake of Panzer Dragoon should be a very, very seminal thing because it's such an important game in terms of on the Saturn, the history of it, and it's such a good game as well. It's still a very good game, and the original, arguably in parts, well, does look better than this. I mean, yes, this got better models, but to be honest, I think some of the Saturn original models are far better as they're more stylish. So yes, it's a very disappointing remake. I mean, if you've never played the original, you're going to get some fun out of it. That was a sort of okay hour, but for me, it's not a trip down memory lane. It's a trip into what could have been rather than what is, and it's concerning if this is the same studio that's going to do the sequels to Wheel. I would not, if I was the producer, I would be disappointed if I was working at Sega knowing these guys were doing a sequel. And it says something. I've not seen any Sega credits yet, so I mean they've got the Sega game, whereas the supervision from Sega. Okay, so there we go. Those are the people responsible for this atrocity. Yes, I mean it's not dreadful, but as a fan of the original game, I can't recommend. This is one of those games where you get a lot of fans go, "Oh, it's nostalgia." No, it's not nostalgia. I still play the original game. I know what a good game the original. This is not a good remake of the original. You'd be better with the PlayStation 2 version. Why do you need lore experts? You just need to speak to the original team. I mean, the lore's... No, there's not much lore in Panzer Dragoon anyway. You just got to replay the original games. I never quite explained what the original... rider was. I always wondered if he was supposed to be a drone, as it was implied, because he wouldn't be necessarily. He couldn't be from the ancient age, else he'd be hundreds of years old. One of the main lore things in Panzer Dragoon is that original, yeah, just that's all you get. Yeah, if you most of the team obviously aren't credited, but yeah, if you. Got a few of the fan sites there. Really, they're not fans if you're working on subpar follow-ups. Will I get zero mode, or is it going to be wizard mode or something? This is of course based on the original. The secret mode is now at your display. Okay, let's see what extras we've got at the end of this stream. So I'm quite impressed with the Stadia. It is very Oh, we don't need codes. This is the modern era, chaps. I should say, ladies and gentlemen, cancel, cancel. Of course, escape could be quite applicable there. Applicable there as an escape the game. Expect next game of MPS Team. That's reference to expect next game of Team Andromeda. Sadly, I won't be looking forward to their next game. Pass sheet button to enter code. Pass the cheat codes. I said cancel, cancel. We got so backspace, backspace. Doesn't do anything. Escape, escape. Citral, citral. So cancel on the keyboard. Boss destroyed 7. That's because I've. So yeah. Yeah, it's not the original orchestrated music. You can get the original soundtrack, but I wanted to have it. The fact this remix sound effect was not remix sound. Pass the cheat code to enter. Pass the cheat code? That doesn't make good English. Pass the cheat code to enter. Well, you said the cheat code was cancel, cancel. So it's not escape, escape. It's not enter, enter. It's not backspace, backspace. Return. Is there a cancel button? Input mapping. Show mapping. Do we have a cancel button? Here's where I try a cheat site. Okay, well, I don't seem to be getting the cheat codes to work, so basically... I thought it'd be backspaces, that would be cancel. W. Just gonna see what the hard version's like. Let's see if this is... the intro. Does this change the game much? Just seeing what hard mode's like. Yes, this is not the remake I wanted to play. So, respective Stadia is holding up well. It's not totally woeful, but there's not really a lot to merit. There's just no reason to play this over the original. Like I said, other than the fact that we can't play the original. So the PS2 version is going to be a better version than this, that's for sure. Some of the remix stages are not on point. There's definitely mistakes from this opening stage. So I think every stage had some problems with the remake and needed review. So much for the lore experts. Yeah, again, moving the dragon with this with control. It's just so janky, the cursor control. It's disappointing. I mean, this really needs to be completely redone if they want to get some serious respect. If they want to sort the mess out they've got themselves into, they need to completely redo this remake. So it's of a standard where, as a developer, you'd say, I'm happy with that, and I want to put my name on that. If I tell you this, I would not be happy putting my name on this if I was... And I will be honest, I have had my name put on games I would not wanted to be credited on, but you get credited because you're on it, but doesn't necessarily like them. But yeah, I've worked, and having worked in the industry myself, I've worked on some very good games and I've worked on some terrible games as well. You will work on good and bad games, but this is, for such an iconic game as Panzer Dragoon, this remake is just not the quality Sega needs to be. And it's deeply concerning going forward for future Sega franchises if this is the quality of remakes they're putting out. It's deeply worrying. So I think it's a little bit harder. The first stage is sort of a bit tutorially on the hard difficulty. I'm going to wrap up this stream when I finish this stage on hard, so yes, I won't be playing through it again on hard. We've done one playthrough, I think that's enough for now. I noticed the chatter about this has also died as well. The Metacritic scores is really come down as well. So both this and Streets of Rage 4 have been... I mean, Streets of Rage 4 is supposed to be its own game, but it's clearly was a remake of Streets of Rage 2 that was converted into a... It looks like a Streets of Rage 2 remake, and then it was converted into 4, and they've made a bit of a... That's better than this, but they still made problems with that. Again, the developers haven't understood everything about the franchise. And again, they're missing elements of previous games. And if you're missing elements of games in the series and you're doing a new entitlement, new installment, you don't understand the series. If you're making, you always need to include all the mechanics from all the previous games if they weren't game specific. So if the game had improvements, you need to include those improvements. So this should have the super attack as wheel. The one improvement I wouldn't say is the auto change form mode. That was probably didn't turn out so well in Panzer Dragoon Auto. Auto's still a good game. In fact, I really did enjoy Auto, but it still didn't quite feel as good as the first two games. But it was very good. This is not Panzer Dragoon Auto. This is not Panzer Dragoon's wheel. This is not Panzer Dragoon. It's just not up there. The concussive control. It's just so slow. Okay, hopefully you can all hear me. Yeah, my voice is fairly loud, but I know the music is actually quite loud tonight, so... Okay, they definitely take a few more hits on the harder one, but not a huge amount more. Okay, everyone, that has been the Panzer Dragoon remake on Google Stadia. I think playing Stadia is a nice version of, but the game itself is not great. What was my shutdown ratio? 98%, so actually better than before. So, well, I'm not going to recommend that. It's not a great. It's certainly not a great remake, but I mean, at least we've got Panzer Dragoon on modern formats, I suppose, in a form. Not the form I'd want. I think it needs some serious patching. I mean, maybe the developers might salvage this, but at the minute it's just disappointing from, as I was saying, perspective. It's really not good from being someone who. This is just not what you want. I mean, I said the Panzer Dragoons are really seriously important games in terms of Sega's history and just gaming because they're such good games. And to be treating this way, it'd be like if Square Enix had made a really poor Final Fantasy VII remake, which no one would have wanted. And we've got that with some other classics from that era, and we need to really start saying, you know what, Sega, we need people to make the right decisions here and really produce. Because the thing is, if this was a really good port, you guarantee you this would have got rave reviews. People would be much more buying it. As it is, I noticed the drop-off of this has been quite severe and a lot of criticism. So hopefully the developers will patch it. I mean, it's only just relatively recently come out. So I think it came out on Switch, was it last year? It might even be the sort of early this year, I think. I think it was 2020. It's disappointing. I really do hope maybe the developers will patch it and prove me wrong and completely make this a pristine remake, but at present it's not up to the standard I would like to see for a Panzer Dragoon remake in the slightest. And in fact, I would say get the Sega Ages version on PlayStation 2. So that's my 2 cents on this one. Unfortunately, not quite the best. I mean, it's an iconic game on Sega Saturn, and I think the PS2 version's very good, but this is not the version you want to be playing. So, with that said, sadly, I will have to finish for tonight. Now, tomorrow's stream will be very special in that I will be doing Mortal Kombat 11, as I mentioned. And we will be doing prize code giveaways. And if you've got Mortal Kombat 11 on Stadia, you'll be able to actually battle us. So, please do. Please do join us for that stream tomorrow if you can. It will be really nice. If you've got Google Stadia, please do jump on. We're hoping to get a few people to actually play against me because I've got. We'll have to. It's going to be a bit of a fun stream. So please do that. If you want to battle me, Random Gamer Riven, you will do. But for now, I will say thank you for watching. As always, if you like our content, please hit that subscribe button. If you like our content, please do hit the like button. If you want to subscribe to the channel and enjoy our stuff, please do subscribe and stay tuned to our content for more randomised gaming. So I will be streaming, as mentioned, Mortal Kombat 11 tomorrow. So I hope to see you all there. That will be from 4 PM UK time, which I think is... Well, you know your time zone roughly, so check your time zone. That's 4 PM UK time. We'll be streaming Mortal Kombat 11 for. I'm going to finish for now. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I wish you a good night, a good evening, a good morning, or a good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. I have been your host, Random Gamer Riven. Thank you for watching this stream of Panzer Dragoon, the remake. And I will see you all in tomorrow's stream. And hopefully Sega will... I mean, maybe the developers will turn around. No, I don't want to see them turn around the wheel port. I want them to sort this one out. This needs to be better. That's where we'll leave it. But yeah, it's not Stadia. It's not bad on Stadia. It was actually part of the Pro subscription at present. I don't know if it still is, but it was in July's month. So do check what games are free on Stadia Pro. So if you've got, looking at Stadia and want a quick go on this, because it is, if you subscribe, although you can unsubscribe the subscription, you have to. You do get Stadia Pro free for a month at present on Google Stadia. So I have been your host, Random Gamer Riven, and that is it for now. Everyone, good night, and I will see you all in tomorrow's stream.